Welcome back, guys. It's a quiet Monday evening and time for yet more development. So, what we have actually done is we have changed our mesh for the conveyor belt. Now, this might be quite interesting, or it might be an absolute disaster. So, what we're going to do in the first place here is we're going to get this ready to actually be used. So, we have a material here which is rotating, and it's rotating of a speed of minus 0.05. Now, this is going to be controlled by a parameter. This is actually going to be a scalar parameter, and it's going to be called speed. Okay, so we shall save that and apply it. So that's saving, that's fine. So the next thing we need to do is, this is the conveyor belt. We need to create an instance. That's a static mesh. What am I doing? Material instance. So this is going to be mi underscore belt. Okay. And if we look at this in the first instance, we're going to do minus 0.05. That's going to be the default. Now, this is me getting ready for later, because basically what this is going to do is it's going to represent the speed that this thing actually goes at, right? Now, that doesn't look right, but we can check it. And this panel here, the speed is minus 0.05. Now, this might not appear to be the correct thing. It might be actually time. Let's try this out. Come on, you can do it. Is it the time? Right, well, we'll try it out anyway. See how it goes. Right, so now if we go into here, and what we're going to do is we're going to save this once we've done the initial setup, so that we can actually do a conveyor belt. Okay. And we can spin this around. We can watch our little drones go back. which is always cool. And next we can draw our conveyor belt. And that doesn't do it. So it must be the time so it's like speed X. I think this might be speed Y. Right, because that's just doing it on both. So we need speed X, speed Y, constant coordinate. So the question has to be vector 2. Right, so this has to change. So vector 2. Okay. Constant 2 vector. Right, and we convert to parameter and we say speed. Okay. Wait a minute, that wasn't a vector 2. So constant 2 vector. Right, I don't know why it does that. Right. Parameter. So we want a vector 2 parameter. Vector 2 parameter is what we need, right? Now, I don't know. I'm trying to change this to a vector 2. There is a way you can do it. So I'm wondering if you can make it's a float 2. It's a float 2. Right, so right, apparently we can't do that. Right, so this is going to be a scalar parameter. And we shall call it x speed. Okay, and it's basically going to be minus 0.05. So we can save that. Okay. So that's the default value. So if we go back to mi belt, we don't need to do anything with that just now. We could do if we wanted to, but we don't. So I didn't save that, did I? Damn it. Keep forgetting to do that. I implemented the save, so this was a lot faster to test, and now I keep forgetting to save it. Right. So we shall take it from here. And that should be us just about ready. So we can do that. We can do that. Right, we take that away, we spin this around, and we do it again. And we need to kind of match the speed here, you know. So if we put 0.7, we will need to test it again though. So we'll save that and stop it. Right, so those barrels are still going way too quick. So minus 0.1. Okay. We need to work out these speeds. 0.2. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Right, we haven't told our static mesh to use this material instance. Ah, what a doofus. So we need to open this up, and then this needs to go in here. Save that, and now we'll try it. And the barrel should move at exactly the same speed as our conveyor belt, right? Which will give the illusion that the barrel is actually on the conveyor belt. I mean, even if it's a tiny bit off, that probably won't matter, but it's still going way too fast. So we'll change this to 0.3. Save that. Press play. Still a bit too fast, so we'll go for 0.4 and see if that takes us past the speed that the actual items are moving on our. So Yeah, that's very, very close. Our barrel's still moving a tiny bit too fast. So thank you for the hitting the subscribe button. Again, Toki, that's very kind of you, mate. Very kind indeed. So we're going to go for 0.41. And we'll try that again. And it's still a tiny bit faster. It's not much, but it's a bit. We'll go 4.5. We'll save that and play. Oh, thanks for the kind words, Jintoki. Right, so is this the same speed? That looks... Oh, it's so close. I think we've got to go to 0.44. So we'll try that out. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. That looks pretty good to me. What we should do is, right, this is right behind that one, right? It's those corners that kind of screw it up. Right, but we'll call that a win. We'll call that a win. Right, now, the next thing is... Next thing for us is... Well, I'll show you guys before we start working on it. I think that's the best idea here. Because you'll need to see the context of what we're looking at, and I think we can do it with just hitting the continue button. And actually, you know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. We shall get this all set up and running, right? So that you guys can see something actually happening. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make iron sheet in here. And in here, once it's active, we're going to make widgets. Right? We're going to spin these around. And what we're going to do is we're going to build our conveyor belts. Then we're going to build a conveyor belt here. And then finally, we're going to build this conveyor belt. And it's going to come up and out here, down here, then it's going to come round here, down to here, then join up here. Okay? And that's on widgets, that's fine. That's looking pretty good to me. Now we do need some more workers here. So that's looking good. That one's looking good. This is going to start making some stuff soon. Then we should start getting some widgets out pretty fast. Wait a minute, that shouldn't be making widgets. Iron sheet. Yeah, that is making iron sheet. Right, okay, that's fine. Yeah, the iron sheets are coming out of there. It's primarily because you can't really see them. Right, so what we're going to do to make this look a heck of a lot better is we're going to go to our iron sheets and stuff. Okay. So what we need to do is go to recipes. Need to minimize this down a bit. Then we need to go to DT, and that's a product out, but it's not that one. Right, so what we need to do is look at DT items, and if we go to iron sheet, right, we can go to that one, and we can basically re-import it. Right, so that's 45. So we'll leave it rotated on that. We'll go to 0 and re-import, and then we shall go to 0 and re-import, and we might actually just go to the 45 again. No, we won't. So we go to 0 there, but we probably want 45 here. And there you go. Right, so we'll save that. Right, and then we'll do the same on our copper. So we come down to our import settings, and we zero that, and we change this to 45. Bang. Save that. Re-import it. Save it. And now we can actually do it on the widget as well. So if we go back to here, not there, if we go back to here and look at our DT items, we can look for our widget, right, and we can go to there. It's actually the mesh, right, so we can go to here and then if we come down again, if we go to 0 and re-import the mesh, then that's fine. And we can set that to 0 and save that. And now everything should be as it should be, except I didn't save it. I only saved this part. As I said, I built the save function at earlier on because I wanted to be able to test things quickly, and now I can't do it quickly because basically I keep forgetting to test to save the game. Okay, so this one we set it to iron sheet. This one we set it to widget. And then this thing here, we shall draw our conveyor belt down to here, down to here, down to here, down to here, and then to there. And I don't know why it's doing that. It seems to be going straight through. We're going to stop that. That's a bit weird. This must be because of the extra calculations I added in. Right, so what we'll do is that, then that, and we shall spin this around and spin that around. We shall add our conveyor belt here. Then we shall add our conveyor belt here. Right. I'm definitely going to work on a better way of doing that conveyor belts. I mean, they do work, but it can be a bit freaky at times. Okay, so let's have a look to see if our sheets are coming out. And yes, they are. Wait a minute. No, that's okay. Right, so everything's too high at the moment, which is fine. I can adjust that in a minute. Right, but there we have our lovely, our widgets aren't the right, so okay. Widget material. This is because it's not set to instanced mesh. So we set that, save that. And I'll tell you what, now I don't know what effect this is going to have, right, but our conveyor belt material, right, if we can find it, belt, right, that should be ticked to use with with spline. So it's getting used with spline, and we'll click it to get used with instance, because we're probably going to turn these into the spline parts into instanced. right? So there's that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our objects onto the splines properly. So basically it's output object, right? So if we come back to here and we go to buildings and we go to output object, and it does not do that, so it's actually what spawns it. Okay, so is it base building or is it the individual buildings that spawn this? Well, we're gonna have to find out. I'm kinda guessing it's not the base building that does it. Right, so any stuff like that, we'll just get rid of it. And it's not that. Right, so it's basically each individual building has to spawn its own things, which is fine. We'll go to the miner first. Right, and this is the spliner. And it's going to be done by this interface. There's an interface call, right? And it's not that one. Right, that is when it processes. Ah, you know what it is? It's on the, what am I thinking about here? It's on the output component. Right, so output from storage. Right, so it makes, this is it here. And that's kind of weird, because it spawns it at 0, 0, 0. Right, now that's okay. What we need to do is we need to check on this. Right, now we did have it open. And the instance mesh goes there. And we're really not doing anything with that Z position. Let's have a look at move me. Right, so this is the part, it adds 50. Right, so we really don't want to add 50. We want to save that. Right. And what we actually need to do here is we actually need to check it. Right, so what I'll do is I'll open a level. I'll open our map. We'll save that. Right. Then what we'll do is we'll drag that in. We'll set that to 30. Right. And then we shall drag in a, in this we're going to pick a mesh. Well, we don't have an instance mesh, so we'll pick that. right? And then what we need to do is drag in our, let's have a look. It's actually in the conveyor belt, isn't it? So we need to drag this in, right? We need to place it at 0, which it is. Then we need to drag it under here. Maybe not, actually. I think we need to place this at, I think we'd place it at 5, right? So now we need something. We need to drag something in, right? So we'll drag in a cube. And, well, right, we need something that pivot point is on the bottom, right? So we actually need like this. And then as soon as we can see our plane above it, right, so it's 30, perfect. Now, as you'll notice, that's what I actually set it at by pure luck, 30, right? So, with that all done, we need to go back to our original level, our main menu, right? If we press play and continue, our barrels should be pretty looking as if they're on top of that spline, which they are, right? Then what we can do is we can make the other things so that we can check that those look just as decent, like the widgets and the other stuff. And we obviously need to spin that round and spin that round. Then we need our conveyor belts to go here, here and here. Then we need our conveyor belt to go here, here, there, there and there. And this we need to set to iron. This we need to set to widgets. And yep, that's looking decent. And now I don't know. Yep, knew it was going to do that. And there we go. Let's have a look to see if these widgets are actually sitting in the right place. Yeah, they seem to be. Although this seems a bit weird. Right. What I think I'm going to do with this, right, is when they click, I'm going to save a point. And then when they click, I'm going to save a point. I'm going to save the spline point, or like a vector 2, and then I'm going to save what do you call it? I'm going to save a direction that we're going in, right? So that I can then recreate it from the point of view of recreating the whole spline again, but cleaning the whole thing up, right? But that is for another day. Right, now the whole point of this in the first place, right, was actually... Yep, we've got a widget there. Again, the lighting isn't too great, but I'm not going to sit here and do a tutorial with you guys watching, so we're not doing that. Right, so my point is that if we click on that, we've got a nice display. When we click on this one, we've got a nice display. But when we click on this one, like this one's out, there's only a certain amount of information there that isn't really that useful to us, right? Well, okay, so it is useful, right? It gives us the input to make iron ore. Iron ore is the only thing that we can make in here at the moment. So, you'll probably notice it more. Well, that one's kind of the same, right? This one, we've got this select recipe and stuff. We need to adjust this. We've got the widget, which is cool. We could do something with that with our render target. We could actually make that spin round so that it's a bit more cool, right? But anyway, it doesn't give us how fast the building goes. It only gives us basically the sort of default information. So we need like the building speed, the building cycle time, process time. We need all the stuff that was basically in the miner that's related to like another building, like products per cycle, cycle speed, current workers, which is also displayed here, overall efficiency. We don't need the mineral available, and we don't need the total mined, right? But we do need the rest of these things, okay? So that's what we're going to do once I come back from a break. So stick around, guys. I'll be carrying on with this and we'll see how it goes. We shan't be too long. And as I said, we shall take it from there. And we shall be right back. Okay guys, we're back. Let's get on further with this, if we can. Right. So we're going to stop this for now. And we're going to look at our mining details. So if we come down to our UI and we look at building details, which is here, right? Our building details decides on mining details. Okay, so what we can do is we can open this up, and this is obviously a sub widget. Okay, didn't mean to do that, but anyway, so we shall minimize that. We shall go to mining details, right, and we've got this widget here, and we can do this one, we can do this one, this one, this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we copy that, that, and that, and that, actually we don't want this one. Right, we just want those ones. And if we copy them, right, and now if we go back to our building details, this one adds recipe details. Okay, so we can go and check here, and this isn't actually going to be recipe details. This is mining info. That's interesting. Not in a good way. I'm kind of confused. Right, so we can look at our so we've got a horizontal box, and we obviously fill that with something, right, which is this thing here. Right, so we shall create a new widget, and we shall call it factory details. Okay, and we're going to open this up, and we're going to paste this in here. Okay, but we're not going to do that. We're going to undo that, and we're going to add a vertical box. Right, because all of that stuff needs to be inside a vertical box. So now we paste it, and you'll see that now gives us our information there. And then in here this is the target, right? That's fine. So in here, what we're going to do is exactly the same thing here, right? Except, first of all, we're going to create another widget, create widget, and this one is going to be factory details. This is going to go in here, right? It's going to go in here. It's going to go in here. Okay. And I'm not expecting this to actually work here, but we should get a general idea of what it's going to look like. So we shall check this out. And there we go. Now we are going to need to make adjustments to this, so it looks like we're going to have an input, output, or this is the output in fact, and this is the input, and then we'll be able to move everything up a bit, I hope, right? So we're going to have to make changes to this here. And so we have we've got our vertical box, right? And this is horizontal box inputs. So if we have our vertical box here, then our output, then what we want to do is wrap this in a horizontal box, right? And then this spacer will be coming out, this input will be going here, and this will be going in here as well. Now this horizontal box is going to be a fill, right? So let's just have a look at how this is looking so far. It's going to look like crap, right? But we're working on it. Working on it. Right. Yep, so that's looking okay. Right, so let's figure this out. Right, okay, so I should have taken a screenshot of that. I'll bring that back up. Right, what I'm going to do is we're going to do shit that. Then we'll take a look at this. Then we'll close it. I'll bring up this. Then we'll paste that. Right, and then we'll actually make it over here so that I can see it while I'm working on it. Right. If you can't see this, I'm having a bit of fight with Paint.net over what it's actually supposed to be doing at the moment. Right. So I've got this on my screen on the right hand side, so I can now kind of see what's going on. So we don't want inputs then bauxite, we want something else, right? So in this horizontal box, this is our output, okay? And it has our recipe, and it has that, right? So what we need in here is to wrap this with a vertical box, right? And that gives us our horizontal box output. Okay, so basically what we do is we duplicate that and we put it above here. Okay, except that didn't go in the right place. Right. And this isn't inputs anymore, it's actually output. Right. And we shall do that. And then for our inputs, we shall do the same thing. So we shall wrap that in a vertical box. And that goes in here too. Okay. Now this horizontal box should align to the left and this should align to the right, hopefully. So If we save that, let's have a look to see how it goes. Right. Right, so fundamentally we need some padding here, and the output, and then this input should be bauxite here. Okay, so we'll keep working on that. So what we can do is this goes to the left, then we add some padding to the right, or it should actually be, yeah, this vertical box. Right, so that moves that away a bit. Let's make that actually 100. Okay. And for our inputs, we should wrap, not there, this horizontal box inputs, we are actually adding stuff to it. So I'm guessing that it's this thing here. So we're creating this simple recipe thing. So what we need to do is check on this. I think we've actually got this open already, but maybe not. Right, so we've got our thing here, and basically we don't have a vertical box. What we do is we wrap this in a horizontal box, then we drop that to okay, we copy that, and this vertical box has to go. So what we could do is we can select this, right, easiest way to do this is wrap that with a canvas panel, right, then drop that in there, then drop this in here, and drop this in here, and then remove this. Okay, then our horizontal box, we should size to content, save that, then try it out. And let's see what we get out of this. Not bad, not bad. I think we can lose the quantity, right? So we can do that, and then we need to add a bit of padding on this first one. So we can delete that, right? So if we do that, it's going to give us an error, which is fine, because all we need to do is remove that, drop this out of the way, then plug this back in. Then what we can do is move this across. We're not going to delete this because we might actually use it, but we're just checking out what we've got so far. Now, the last thing that we had to do here was we had to add some padding in, so we'll add some padding on the left of like, let's say 25. That should do. I should check it another one so that we get them exactly the same, but we can take it from there. See how that goes. That's looking good, except we need to sort of center this a bit. Right? Oh, wait a minute. Let's do that again. So it's the bauxite. Right? So on the output, it's not that one. Is it on this one? Let's take a look at our recipe details. And that is the recipe details. So we create the simple recipe, and that's that. So if we go back to here, right, we do have this text block and it's centered that way. Let's see if it's got any weird nope, hasn't got any weird stuff on it. So if we go back to here and we do that, that should solve the issue. Now we can go back to here and continue it, and let's have a look. Yep, that's looking good. We've got plenty of space here, so if we did want to do some quantities or whatever, we could certainly do that. And then we can move this down a bit. Okay. So we can stop this. And if we go back to this widget here, right? We would have, right, okay, it's vertical box. Doesn't have any padding on it. Okay. Then this text block here, we should have padding to the left of 25. That moves all of them over there, right? And now we can position on the Y of 50, then that is going to do our padding for us, right? So when we press play, this is going to pad for us. And you'll see that these are now down a bit, right? So we can stop that for now. And the thing we need to do now is to get all the values in, right? So if we go back to where we actually draw the thing, which is here, we've got a building type, but we don't actually have the minor, but we pass in the building, right? So in our factory details, we're going to pass in a building, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be a base building. So it's going to be BP base building, then it's going to be instance editable and expose on spawn. So we'll save that. Then if we go back to this widget here and we refresh the nodes, then we pass in the building. Now we've got our building information. Okay, so we can now go to our mining details. We can go to the graph and we can basically copy this, probably. Well, this is the mine per cycle, mining speed, mineral amount. So those are the things we don't want. That's the mined amount. And that's the mine per cycle stuff. Right, now that's the mineral amount and all that stuff. Okay, right, so where, if we go to designer, products per cycle, cycle speed, current workers, where are all these? Right, so find references, So we have cycle speed, that's parts per cycle. We don't need the ore type, but we are going to have the workers, which is here, right? So we are going to have to do a cast on this by the looks of things. Or in fact, this might actually be completely different. Right, so if we pull off the building, we've got a base building, right? So if we pull off this and get the building, and we pull off this and we say recipe, then we do have recipe inputs and recipe outputs, so that kind of tells us stuff, but that's not really what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to save that for now. We're going to actually have a look at our base building to see what information we can garner just from the base building. Now, that doesn't tell us anything. If we go into, let's say, the refiner, I'm not sure if this is giving us anything either. It's really our component output that's going to give us something. Right, so let's see. Yeah, we don't have a component output. They're all on the individual types of buildings. Then again, the research building doesn't have an output, so that kind of makes sense. Right, so what we're going to have to do in this case is, in here, we're also going to have to pass in the building type. So we're going to tap that. And in here, we're going to add building type. And that is going to be E building type. Okay. And this means we can differentiate so that we can cast correctly. So, and this is going to be instance editable expose on spawn. Expose on spawn, please. There we go. And now we need to go back to here. Or was it? Here. Then refresh again, and we pass in the building type. And on that note, folks, I think I'm going to end early tonight. It's a bit quiet and there's not a lot happening. Going to finish some of this off stream. Have a look at another couple of things. So if you've joined, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Check the description for my Discord, Patreon, and previous game on Steam. And I shall see you tomorrow at 2 PM Central Time. Bye for now.